I'd want to introduce to you John Rice. John's a food and beverage marketing veteran who takes a hand-on approach to growing revenue and establishing sustainable marketing processes. He's built major brands for companies like Cookies by Design, Iron Hill Brewery, Church's Chicken, Chuck E. Cheese, and the list kind of goes on and on. He brings an extensive menu and product development experience and background in the adult beverage category. As interim CMO at Iron Hill Brewery, he developed a brand repositioning strategy that relaunched the restaurant as brew pubs, leveraging credibility as a local brewery with the menu and pricing that supported with local advertising and social media effort generated improvement of over 10%. And John, you probably talk about that more later, but the brew pub and the different IPAs and all that kind of stuff that's happening in Texas has gone off the charts.
Oh, yeah.
And just real quick, so John works for a company called Chief Outsiders, the nation's leading executives as a service firm, helping CEOs to organize and identify fractional marketing and sales executives that they need to accelerate growth. So most of us on the call have experience in the fractional world, or if we don't, we know people that do or owners that use that. And so John's expertise is in the CMO world. So I'm looking forward to hearing what John has to say about his approach, the fractional aspect to it, and how we can learn to help take some of what he's doing and put it into practice in our own businesses. So with that, John, I'll let you take it away.
Thank you. Nice to meet everyone. Thanks for being here, and thanks for having me on your podcast. As you were saying, I'm with a group called Chief Outsiders. We're a group of about 120 sales and marketing executives who work on a fractional basis for companies of all sizes, but mostly focus on mid-market because those types of organizations don't necessarily have the senior level sales and marketing support that they need to help support their growth. So they are not ready or can't afford to hire a full-time head of sales or head of marketing, but they need that senior level expertise and resources to be able to help them figure out what marketing means in their organization. So I've worked in a lot of different corporate roles, and I've been doing this as, I hate to say consultant, because that means different things to different people. Really what I am is a hands-on operational marketing executive. So that, like a lot of you, I work side by side with my clients and their teams to help them figure out how to make marketing work in their organization. And even though most of my experience has been in food and beverage and franchising, including some of the folks you just mentioned, I've done a wide range of different things. Outsiders has given me a chance to really spread my wings and work for, a whole bunch of different types of organizations. I had an insurance company as a client. I had a medical technology firm, currently working with a multi-unit dental organization. I even had a junkyard as a client. And so you might ask, why would a junkyard need a CMO? Well, they're a $40 million junkyard they do essentially reclaimed vehicles where people could come in and pull parts off. And it's a really cool business. So that's the exciting part of what I do, is that I get to work with so many different types of companies and help them figure out how to grow and understand their customers so that they can have an effective marketing process.
John, like I'm a fractional CFO, and so typically we go into an organization and we might have 4 keystones, KPIs, financial reporting, forecast, and cash flow. How do you customize your marketing approach based on unique needs and resources of each company?
Sure, great question. So obviously, every company and every brand and their situation is a little bit unique. We do have a process that we call growth gears, which basically starts with insight, understanding the customer, the brand, the marketplace, possibly doing some research, but at a minimum, knowing what it is that drives the business. Once we have that insight, then from there, we create a strategy so that we have some guardrails to take us to that next step, which is putting together a plan, and then the last step, which is execution. Unfortunately, and I know you've all probably seen this in your careers, a lot of people, when the chips are down and sales aren't going the direction they want, just put something out there. They do what we call a random acts of marketing, and they hope that they work. And sometimes they get lucky, and they do. A lot of companies have grown organically because they were really good at what they did, and they, had some good relationships, and they made the most of it. But throwing random marketing or advertising activity and hoping that it's going to result in improvement is a great way to waste money. And so you have to have a strategy, and that strategy has to be based on an understanding of what it is that motivates your specific type of customer for your product. And so we help companies figure that out. And we apply that process in very different ways because, again, your resources, your budget, and obviously your history that we try to understand in doing an initial assessment. Uh, we typically find things that companies have done very successfully, but they haven't fully explored the data from those past activities, and we try to bring those to light so that they can uh, build on anything that they've done in the past that's worked, and then further expand upon it.
So, John, kind of um, talking or following up with that point, how do you measure the success of your marketing strategies that you implement? And then do you prioritize your KPIs, or is there any one or two that stand head and shoulders above the rest that you really look at?
I think one of the reasons that marketing executives get a bad rap is because some people look at marketing as just being something that's fluffy, the guys that make the ads and do something creative. Oh, you build websites, okay. But a real marketer has specific, tangible metrics that they're focused on. And so when you're talking to a marketing person, if the second or third thing out of their mouth isn't, here's how we're going to measure results, you probably don't have the right marketing person. Um, Obviously, the number one thing that we focus on is revenue. Um, and, we may prioritize these things a little bit differently, depending on the category, but you got to make money. You've got to have customers. You ideally are growing your new customer base or increasing frequency of your existing clientele. And then you're doing it with some focus on the bottom line too. I mean, you can always drive sales. You can just give stuff away, right? Boy, the restaurant business is really guilty of that a lot. And maybe someday, if we have more time, I'll tell you a story about this company called Red Lobster and their all-you-can-eat shrimp deal. You've probably heard about that. So, there's a right way and a wrong way to do it. And establishing those metrics and having a clear vision for what you're going to invest, and then what the potential, it's no guarantee that it's just a one-to-one relationship, but what the potential is for return on that investment. And then there's a million other metrics, again, depending on the marketing technology that you're using. The good news about marketing today, and again, I'm sure a lot of you are involved in this, is that so many things now are more tangible in ways that previously they never were. Digital marketing, email, SMS, social media. Obviously, there's a lot of intangible things that improve a company's image, PR, and you know any number of ways to create content that may or may not engage people. So a marketing person should be able to pin it down, but it's got to be about driving revenue, driving customers, making more money.
Okay, thank you. Um, can you share some examples of how you've helped some of those companies scale their marketing efforts to drive that growth? I mean, I mentioned a few of them when I introduced you. There was, Taco Bell, the Brew Pub, Chuck E. Cheese. I mean, is there anything specific you want to talk about and tell the group?
Sure. Um, I've been really lucky to work with some really big brands and some smaller brands. And the most exciting part of what I do as a marketing person is really get inside the mind of the customer to understand what it is that motivates them to want to do business. But more than that, understanding where your brand fits in their life. And this is true whether it's a B to B customer or a B2C category. Um, at the end of the day, I'm sure you've all read about emotional buying decisions. We're all animals making, decisions based on instinct. And even the most analytical buyer has an emotional component to why they decide to spend money on one thing versus another. So digging into that and understanding what drives that, and then finding a way to appeal to that is the thing that we focus on and the most satisfying piece of it. But
Is there any one specific company you could share?
I will absolutely give you some specific examples. I'm working with a dental company right now, and we're digging into their patient data to understand what makes their patients uh, unique and how we can appeal to them. And trying to understand, because there are some unique challenges in this business, why once somebody is diagnosed with a specific dental need, say a crown or a filling or whatever, that they don't follow through on it. They don't necessarily tell us why. They just, they visit, they get the recommendation, and then we never hear from them again. So talking to that guest and or patient, I go back and forth between restaurants and other categories, so everyone's a guest in my mind. Is really important. And what we have found from doing additional insight work is that they're afraid they can't afford it. Well, we focus on some of our financing options. They're afraid that there's going to be additional work required, or it's going to take too much time. We have to address those needs in order to overcome that. And what we've done is communicate very differently based on what we've learned. And we've seen a significant increase in our ability to get patients to show up and have procedures done. Because at the end of the day, we're trying to help them. And sure, we want to make money, but we also want to make sure that their needs are met. And I think at some level, that's happened in so many of the businesses that I've worked for. Is you got to understand the customer, and then you get the results.
Okay, thank you for that. So I was going to ask you, what are the things that differentiate what you do at Chief Outsiders from your competition? For example, it's C-suite support. We pride ourselves on having a Buffalo culture, and one of the biggest things about that culture is, well, Buffalo travel in herds, and so when we go to our clients, we really like them to know that you don't get just one CFO, you get a team,
Mhm.
and we feel like that's one of our biggest differentiators with the competition. So, is there any one or two things that really stand out in your business as you compare it to others?
Well, it's interesting you say that because that's the same thing that we talk about. We like to say that, when you hire one of us, you get all of us, but nobody wants 120 CMOs in their office. So, but the truth is, we do have a culture of helping each other. Each of us has a broad range of experience and resources that we can bring to the rest of the team. And if there's any kind of issue that I run into, let's say it's lead generation or content development or some technology issue related to marketing, I can reach out to my team and somebody will have a solution. So it's very empowering for me because marketing has gotten so technical these days that nobody can be an expert in everything. But because we have such a deep bench, I can always know that somebody's got my back. And so we do focus on that. I think the other thing as it relates to how we position ourselves and part of our culture, it's that the people that become outsiders are really lifetime learners, that we're really focused on learning about new techniques, new ideas. Lately, there's been a lot of talk, obviously, about AI, and so we're trying to figure out how to make the most of that. We're always bringing in other marketing service providers to help educate us. We have annual and regional meetings where we get people together and we all do workshops based on things that we're doing so that we can learn from each other. And that's really how we're different. I think, and I used to work for an agency, so there's nothing wrong with agencies. We work with agencies all the time and hire agencies for our clients. But an agency is going to provide you a set of services based on typically the team that they have. So if you need a website developed, the web team's going to do it. And sometimes they use outside resources, but they're going to sell the services based on the staff that they have available. Whereas our approach is to find the right resources that fit your specific needs and your budget. So we don't try to force fit something. We're trying to customize what resources make sense and how to make them work given what your specific sales and marketing needs are.
Thank you, John. I wanted to follow up. You made a comment about AI, and AI has really come on strong probably in the last 6 months to a year. I know I've delved into it quite a bit, being in a CFO. We have different tools that we've used in the past to generate KPIs and different things. And one thing I've found with AI is it remembers, it's machine learning, and you can almost customize it, once it learns what you're doing and how you do it, really to each customer. Are you guys looking into that, or what are you guys exploring when it comes to AI?
So we have a team of I think there are 8 CMOs that are working together to bring forward ideas, and then we host workshops to share best practices. We even have an internal award for the most creative use of AI for a client. We just did the first one a couple of weeks ago. It was pretty interesting. One of our guys was developing a new product for a packaged goods company, and he fed in the requirements to an AI tool and created packaging and copy. It was frightening how easy it was. And I guess we'll all be replaced eventually, right? But no, we're still learning that. And I use it every day, mostly for content development. But I think everyone's in a learning mode. I don't know what you all are experiencing, but we're trying to figure out how to make the most value. I think mostly it's being used to give our clients more options and then speed up the development of certain types of communication.
Well, John, for the group, I don't think I mentioned it. John has a hard stop at 10:30. There's 6 minutes left, so I'm going to go ahead and open it up for questions. So if anyone has questions, anything they'd like to talk to John about from any of the things he said, or anything that you might have, upon coming to the meeting itself, feel free to ask away.
Everyone has marketing problems, so Just go ahead, let it out.
One thing I was going to ask John real quick is, how do you interact with, from a holistic point of view, all of the other fractional, areas when you come into a company? So like when I go into a company, I'm coming in as a CFO, but I also see sales and marketing needs, HR needs, operation. What do you see when you come in? What's the biggest thing you see other than marketing? And then how do you help them with that, or do you?
Yeah, we do. And we have a lot of other fractional executive services that we partner with, including other fractional CFOs, CIO. We have a couple fractional COOs, and recently partnering with some HR firms. So, again, every situation is unique. I will say that the one thing that is a very common theme is technology support. Is that because I'm looking for as much data on the various systems that they have in place, I frequently find that that's one of the areas that's most deficient. I don't know if I'm in a position to evaluate, somebody's financial wherewithal unless they say, "Hey, I need help in this area," in which case I bring people in because I have a lot of relationships with other fractional executives. But seriously, the number one thing that I see that's the biggest opportunity that would add value quickly to my clients is in the technology area, and specifically how their systems work together. So making sure that data that they have over here can relate to data from another system or software that they're using, especially with retail clients where you might have e-commerce, you have web page activity, you have digital marketing, you've got email marketing, you've got customer data, you've got transactional data, and it all lives in different places. Um, I'll use my dental client again because they're one of the more sophisticated clients I work with. They use something called, have you guys heard of Domo, D-O-M-O? It's fantastic. Everything is in one place because it APIs, if that's the right term, I'm not a technical guy, the information from different sources, and then it allows me to generate reports quickly to show them what's happening with their business so that I can evaluate how different marketing programs are working and impacting the actual offices. So things like that are huge value in terms of improving the marketing process. But not only that, business strategy, planning, financial, everything depends on data these days. So having that resource to help you connect the dots across all your data, especially customer data, is just so important. I'm sure you all have experienced the same thing.
Thanks, John. I think we have time for one more question.
Go.
Would I know we're almost out of time. Would you be opposed, John, to uh, giving us or giving me your contact information? Just I like to get on your calendar because I have a few questions. It's going to take more than 2 minutes.
You
But
are absolutely welcome to do that. We're happy to talk to any of you or any of your clients for that matter, because that's sort of the way that we get the word out, is to offer somebody an initial assessment and go into things like what we were just discussing. So here is my contact information. I will put it into chat.
great.
And then fortunately, I have to exit because I am helping a restaurant company exit bankruptcy.
Oh, wow.
So
Good luck.
it's
Thanks,
really,
John. I appreciate your time. It was very, very amazing to hear your what you do and how you do it.
thanks for having me. It's great to meet you all. Here's my contact information, so feel free to reach out. And again, I want to emphasize that I know you're all from, different industries and different businesses, but our people are from all different segments of the business universe. I'm actually kind of an outlier with my restaurant background. Most of the other people, you know, do boring stuff like insurance and stuff like that. No, it's all fun. So thank you. Thanks for
Thank
having
you. All right.
Nice to be here. All right. Have a good day.